Hey guys, good morning. Hope you guys doing well. It's 10 o'clock here down under in Australia. Hope you guys doing really well. I know you guys in Northern Hemisphere. You probably finished up your work and trying to enjoy your evening. So sorry for interruption, but I just want to make this video before I get started with my day. Fantastic. Let's get on with it. Now, as you guys know, SKX is a legend. Whether you purchased watch at its prime before its discontinuation, you bought a terrific price. Whether you bought J or K model, or you got dragged into the SKX hole after its discontinuation because everybody seems to talk about it, right? You paid a bit more. It was pretty hard to find a mint condition, and especially now, the stock in terms of supply just getting rarer and rarer. All right, so if you're on the hunt for one, don't stop and make sure you're actually looking for them actively. Get a full set with box and paper. You want to get it now because right now is a good time to buy it because of the economic situation. But don't wait too much longer on the SKX. If you have one already, well done. If you don't give up on it. Don't give up on it and keep looking. Okay. Now, a couple weeks ago, as you guys know, very fortunate to acquire this vintage piece. Okay, if you guys know this watch already, you know what it is, but if you guys don't, just let me give you a brief introduction of the watch. So first of all, this watch was manufactured in 1982, so 40 years old. The model name of this vintage Seiko course, as you can see the course right there, right? So this course, a vintage piece, was manufactured in 1982 with a full serviceable, full metal course movement with 5 jewels. Again, the model number is 75487,000. Just a quick note: the asking retail price of the watch back in the days was 35,000 yen, and I believe that price was actually equivalent to what Omega's Seamasters are asking at the time. I don't even know that Seamaster back in the time was automatic or mechanical or course, but I think that's just very interesting notes to see because, of course, back in the days, the relationship between course and automatic movements are different. Back in the days, course a big thing, right? And of course, Seiko played a significant part in the course development and innovation of it. So they wanted to give the best course movement, as they believe, that can suit for a diver, and make it replaceable, make it serviceable, into a beautiful design of on its own. So this watch is a beautiful. It is a must-have, and I think even in the watch community and enthusiast perspective, it is being highly desired already for the last, especially in the last 12 months. But I think with this asking price, because surely you can find a mint condition like this between, again, it's really hard to come by, guys, but between 5 to 600 US, you can score you a very nice mint condition like this. If you got the right seller, make sure you double check with the seller. Make sure they're reputable. Make sure you've done your due diligence because there are a lot of fake ones out there. Alright, I'm just telling you guys the truth on eBay, on watch forums, and what else. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. I want to quickly talk about 3 things. Number one, I want to talk about the idea of, see, people like me, I'm new to the hobby, right? I'm new to the whole thing of the SKX and the watch collection altogether. I remember when people tend to talk about the SKX, one tends to believe and make an impression that the SKX was made on an original design, and there's nothing wrong with it because it is original. With the 4 o'clock crown, with the overall cushion shell case, but without this, of course, there's been a couple watches between those two, right? Because those two watches are truly about 40 years apart. So between those two watches, there has been a couple other models. I think the 7002, which is automatic, and we have a 4C26, and that's another course movement watch. Those two watches exist in between those two from a timeline perspective. They will be made in between. But without the 7548, there's no SKX. You see, without this, there's no SKX. So guys, just in that statement alone, we should pay attention to this, because in the long term, those two watches will be very collectible, and there's a reason for it. in terms of dimension, they are very similar, if not the same. Both of the watches are now fitting with the jingly jangly OEM bracelet by Seiko, which is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I know that we can do this all day long, right? But they are lovely. Okay. So from the dimension perspective, it's the old story. Very similar in size, if not the same. Lug to lug's got to be the same as well, right? But of course, we can look at the bezel. The bezel is slightly different. The bezel on the vintage 7548, it's got larger lume peep. On the SKX is smaller, but the handset, the second hand, the dial, and the day and date window, pretty much the same. You've got the 4 o'clock crown on the 7548, and you've got sort of 345, 350 position of the crown for the SKX. That's a difference, but at a distance, they're pretty much identical. Okay. First of all, from a wearing experience, it's just tremendous to wear. And especially talking about the ideas, which I'm going to talk about now, is we love SKX. We love to put it on our wrist because it's so wearable, it's so iconic. But you know what? It's automatic. If you have a large rotation, every time you pick it up, you gotta readjust the time, right? You gotta readjust the time. And of course, if you like it, that's fine. And if you have a large rotation, you do enjoy resetting all your watches from time to time, that is fine. But if you're in a hurry, if you gotta get to work, if you gotta meet a friend, you gotta jump out. You gotta jump into a car without actually taking time to put a crown out, do all kind of stuff. You can grab one of the cords, because the time accuracy on this, it is still bang on right. I've set a second hand to the seconds about, I think about a week ago, and so far it's exactly that. It's running dead on, not losing or gaining half a second. It is perfect. Okay, I think the original spec on this again is about that 10 to 15 seconds per month. But again, as we know, all those beautiful over-engineered quartz movements by Seiko, they are just killers. They are running terrific. And guys, here's the thing, right? I don't think there's a service ever being done to the watch. There could be one, right? But I'm talking about the worst case scenario. But if a watch can survive 40 years of daily use and survive through different temperatures, different seasons, different environments. Of course, this is a diver. All the seals are original, I believe. They're old, but for daily use, they're fine. As long as you don't drop or submerge those watches into the water, they're fine. Of course, don't put them into a steamy environment. Day-to-day wear, rain, hand washing, dishwashing. Of course, we'll do dishwashing our family, right? They're fine, guys. So, of course, make sure you're buying from a reputable seller. And truly beautiful watch, guys. It's very interesting to have them side by side, to be honest, and I love it. I like it, right? And as you can tell, we are truly into this hobby now, right? Because we're not just looking on the surface, we're deeper. Of course, Seiko Vintage on its own is a completely different ball game, right? But I think this is a great starting point. So really great watches, guys, and a couple of things you gotta be aware when you're buying watches like this. I mean, first of all, you gotta make sure the sellers are reputable, that someone is in the game. They're likely to have a reliable source from, for example, this was a JDM model, so this was only selling in Japan. So this guy actually, he probably has a seller at Japan sourcing him watches on a regular basis with due diligence. And before he sold the watch, the seller need to conduct, this is my belief, because they gotta be professional, they gotta take the case back off and just visually examine the movement, make sure there's no battery leakage, make sure all the seals are still reasonably sealed. Of course, there's no waterproof, but they really gotta make sure fundamentally there's nothing wrong with the watch before they're selling it. Cosmetically, it's okay, because it's all watch. Again, the prices will be influenced by how new you look. Okay, and for this, again, I think I got a really good deal out of it. The eBay was giving me a voucher for about $40 So in the end, how much did I pay? I paid about I think I paid about 500 Aussies. That's about maybe about 360, 370. I think that is a great deal. I cannot find another 7.5 way selling under 400 at this condition. Of course, didn't come with the bracelet. I purchased the bracelet itself, but so just be mindful, knowing what you're buying, knowing the seller's got to be reputable, and knowing this is not water resistant. Of course, you can take your watch to your local or enthusiast in Seiko repair vintage community. Make sure they still have the seal, they still have the right parts for it. They can do a full service on it. They can just do a simple water test on it, make sure this can survive. Of course, guys, if you got choices, take those to the pool. Don't take these, right? They're not there. They're not there for that purposes. Okay, I don't think there's any point taking them into the pool and your water activity rather than taking an SKX when you still have one. So knowing they're not waterproof. And the other thing I want to talk about is because they're so old, the SKXs is beautiful in its luminescence. Love it, as we all know. But because it's so old, again, I wish it had been more than what it is now. But if you guys look at it, I'll show you guys in a minute. The lume on this is it has a little bit, but it doesn't last. Okay, so I'll just show you guys again on that hourly and in the mini hands it has a bit more than the indices, but indices they're fading very quickly. Okay, so from a lume aspects, you're not gonna get that function when you look at your watch 2 o'clock in the morning. It's gonna be pitch black. Okay, of course SK is completely different. So yeah, that's all. Of course, guys, if you guys already SKX, let's just make a new name out of it. Okay, if you guys are SKX holic, you should know this. If you guys Seiko holic, you should know this. If you guys got a spare about $500 laying around that you want to invest into one of the watches that you want to have a long-term relationship with, before you're buying a new model, before you're buying a new prospect model, again, there's nothing wrong with any of those lineups, right? You get about what you want, but buy this, at least look into it. It is super cool. I'll just put it on the wrist for you guys to see. Again, super cool. Again, that bracelet just bring the whole watch into a different level. Absolutely loving it. When I was going to talk about this, okay, the bezel, I didn't talk about the bezel, did I? The bezel is 60 clicks and is bi-directional. Okay, so it goes both ways. Very clicky compared to the bezel action as we know now lately. Very mushy, but very smooth. Okay, this is not bi-directional, this is unidirectional. Of course, it goes one way. And just again, just an interesting one, right? Have a click off. We got used to it, right? Perfect alignment. Sorry. So the bezel, the chapter ring, everything's aligned perfectly, guys. So the quality control was okay back in 1982. That one can know for sure now, right? Are there any sort of design language in different ways? Okay, there's actually something different I just picked up, right? So you guys see on between the chapter ring and the crystal, you see that beautiful ring of that ring there, right? You can see that, right? It's not an SKX, right? So from a visual perspective, of course, they didn't save any money back making the days. 35,000 yen was a lot of money back then, right? So that just gives you a slightly bit more, I guess, from a reflection standpoint. So that's another difference that I just picked up. But everything else, the bezel, the knurling, is slightly different. Of course, I'm not sure whether those little gaps are there for specific purposes from an engineering perspective, but of course the SKX doesn't have it. Okay, so that's another thing I just pick up as well. And that's it, guys. Okay, you've got two legends, a grandfather and a son. The son's being loved, the son is doing really well, happy. We should bring the grandfather out of the Sorry guys, I was gonna say bring the grandfather out of the tomb. Sorry for disrespecting if you find it being offensive, but we should talk about the grandfather. They both deserve to be talked about on the stage. They are a great pair, great watches, great history, and a lot of stories to share. Okay, guys. Now, without the way, I hope you guys doing a great day. If you guys in Northern Hemisphere, enjoy the evening. If you guys down south, have a great day. No matter where you are, enjoy what you do. Make the best out of your day, and no doubt, I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye bye, guys.